Cool. So my talk's just a little bit about databases in LabVIEW. I have to admit, a bit of a disclaimer to start off with. I'm not a huge database user in LabVIEW. I'm probably not the best person to give this talk. But the database framework that I'm going to quickly talk about is for SQLite and was introduced to me by the guy that wrote the wrapper for the community, this James Powell guy. And basically, it's a nice wrapper to use in LabVIEW. So I thought we've recently just had a look at it and just thought I'd kind of share that experience with everybody else to see, you know, if it's useful in their scenarios or whatever. So I guess just to give a bit of introduction, I don't know if people know about SQLite. This is the SQLite website. So the basic difference between SQLite and other database implementations are that it's not a client-server based system. So probably not the right solution for this. It's actually just a file on disk. Where it works nicely, I think it's kind of gives you the ideas of things here, but where it works quite nicely is databases are good for, you know, have been developed for a long time and good at sorting data and, you know, categorizing data and pulling data out. And that's quite often required in even quite simple applications. And quite often you'll find you're doing a lot of messing around with data that you've captured for a customer, when actually all of that stuff could have been done pretty easily with a database. So what you can do is something like SQLite is include it in your application. There's no extra setup for the user. There's no ODBC connection to the database. There's no install for SQL Server. You just create it, bundle it with your application, build your application, and it's a DLL that comes along aside the API to SQLite. It's extra little DLL that's 500K or something like that. Sits alongside your application. So I think that's kind of the things that it's talking about here. It's for embedded device. It can be used for embedded devices. I think this. I'm not going to go into all this now, but this page is really useful. It tells you what might be useful, where a client server would be better. Check. So I'm not going to go into all that, but anyway, have a read of that if you fancy doing it. So let's get into the guts of actually using it. So James has put the. Let me see if I can get the.
Sorry, we might go into this in a second.
Yeah.
But, where have you found it particularly useful in your opinion? Where is it really not useful at all? What are you talking to?
So not really useful where you've got a whole bunch of different people writing into the same database. It can handle multiple connections, but it's just not the right format for. Say again?
No one will update at the same time. What you make multiple changes at the same time.
I think it can handle. It can certainly. You can have multiple connections open at the same time, and it will handle a kind of interaction and not break when somebody's writing to the same table. So it definitely handles that. I think. I mean, to be honest, I'm probably not the right person to answer. They're probably in here.
I guess for you.
Well, I guess I haven't used it much, so that's why we're kind of looking at it now. Here's a good wrapper. Let's see where we can use it. I mean, where I've seen people use it where you wouldn't traditionally. I've got an example in a minute. Is for large data sets. So actually storing a large data set, but bringing it back onto the UI if you like scrolling through it. So my example in a minute, we can just kind of get together a large array, and actually on the UI, you're never going to be reading 100,000 points. So why don't we just grab bits of it from the database? So let's quickly find another tab. If you just search for
yeah, as it should be. Always find a way, don't you worry. It's a new feature of LabVIEW 15. It changes your home page.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So that's what's in this pre-roll.
So this is the library I'm talking about. There are a number of paid and free database interfaces. I mean, there's the old database toolkit. The NI have a database toolkit. There's been a few wrappers previously for SQLite. I've found this one to be one of the best ones at the moment. So this is the one that I've downloaded. It tells you more about it here. Some of the benefits. It's also done this extra feature, if you like, which is not apparent or not found in a lot of the other APIs, where you can kind of bind variables from your SQL statement into the code. So we'll kind of go through that in a second, just to see. So if I just got this in LabVIEW 2.14, so let me just bring that onto the page. So when you install the toolkit, it's a VI package. So it puts some examples in the example folder. So I guess it's probably a good place to start. Let's have a quick look at. So, okay, it looks a bit complicated, but there's a lot of kind of explanation on here, and it's kind of doing a lot of things to try and show people what's possible. If I just get up the palette, it's probably a good place to start. So this is the palette. So all of these are wrappers of the SQL DLL, if you like. Pretty simple. There's an open, there's a close, there's an SQL execute an SQL statement, and then we'll go through some of these other features. So some of the areas where database interaction can be slow is if you're opening connections, doing a query, and closing connections. So there is the idea of doing a begin and a commit, and you don't actually process that transaction until later on. So let's have a quick look here. So basically, the open, all it requires is a file name. That's all you need to add in. Just a simple file dialog box here, giving it a name. And then what this one here is doing is just if you look up in the help there, it's just the execute SQL method. It's doing a bunch here, but it's kind of unnecessary. It's creating, so the database has nothing in it to start with. This is actually creating the table. I'm creating it. If there's a trigger, if it exists, then don't do it. So you can do this in a very, very simple statement as well. Just create table, log, brackets, time, and text. So some of the benefits of a normal SQL database, you would have a database viewer. But equally for SQLite, there is a database viewer. So if let's just run this one for a second, then you can see. Example 1. So that has created a table, and as you can see here, it's a large number of rows. I think it's 100,000 rows. Written it and extracted the data back onto the front page. Not very exciting, but all of this data is now. What's been shown here is only the last 10,000 points. But if we look, so there's now a database, an example 1 database on my desktop here. So my initial thought was, okay, that's great, but we can normally look at a table and see a database and see what's in the table, see what tables there. So there's a very helpful free database viewer, SQLite. Okay, running a bit slow. So again, this is just a free download. Just search for SQLite browser. So just in the same way as in normal database tools. Example 1, you can see inside it, I've got a bunch of tables, data and log, and we can look at the data in those tables. So it's not that different to a normal database. It's very, very similar in fact, but it's all just contained without that client-server relationship. So let's quickly go along here and see what else it's doing. So it's this is just processing the SQL statement, so in a table, and then we are what's that up there? Oh, save point. Okay, yeah, not really that important.
But it's worth making that so transaction if you need to go back to Catto.
Well, yeah, I don't know what it is.
So from my understanding, the transaction is where you basically start kind of like a save point at the top right hand side. So you're between where the mouse is now. And,
sorry.
And so we basically lock the database there and we unlock it here. So everything that happens here, if a crash happens, doesn't get pushed into the database.
So it's the database open to after time.
Well, I'm not too sure with this, but I'm guessing when you close the database, it would then kill the connection. So it's a way of if something goes wrong in the middle, it's not passing incorrect data inside. It's like we had with the 2015 example of the NANs, and if those NANs are paid, no, we don't need that. We don't want any more. That's not push anything on. Let's take a step back for a second. So that's some NANs and that's what that does. They would then unlock it afterwards and push just the commit. So as it says, commit the transaction and the unlock.
Sorry. Oh yeah, commit the transaction. Okay. So what's happening here doesn't get set to the database until you do the commit. Okay. So what we're doing here, this little API here is a prepare, which basically sets up an SQL statement that you maybe want to use multiple times, or it has this ability to bind parts of your query to your data. So you can see the SQL query that's coming into this prepare statement is insert into data, which is a table, values, question mark, question mark. So what they've used here is the key, if not the key, what's the right word? The data that you want to bind to is a question mark in here. So basically we're saying I want to bind 2 bits of data in this statement. So if I put a comma question mark, I can bind 3 bits of data. So the SQL statement is its own class that comes out of here. So we've got kind of effectively like a database. Effectively, you'd think of it as a database connection, if you like, there to the file. And then this is a particular query that you've prepared. So this query class comes along here. And there's a bunch of methods that you can use, but one of them is to bind. So this is quite a nice feature. So we're basically saying bind to this is kind of in order, if you like. So bind to the first value in this statement, an integer, and bind to the second value, a real value from this sine wave. And then we've got what we've got here. First step. Okay, so that's executing the statement. So this is preparing the statement, and this is executing the statement, and it's doing a reset and so on. So it's basically adding in a bunch of rows. That's all this is doing. But you can see it's quite. I mean, if you look inside these, if you start wanting to dig inside what it's actually doing, it's kind of a .NET. Is that .NET or C? Anyway, you don't have to dig into there at all. It's complicated. So my point is that the wrapper is quite nice. It's just an open, executed an SQL statement, prepare it, bind data, close, and then what we've got at the end here is just some standard database, grabbing with a query, grabbing a bunch of data. So I thought that's kind of fun. I mean, any questions on that? Does that seem
just another thing on that transaction stuff there?
Yeah.
You notice after you've locked, you've saying like you go and insert some data. So that's where it's kind of like holding it with a normal saying, okay, yeah, that's inserted. And obviously, I'm guessing if you went to that unlock, there's an error that's going into there, wouldn't it? Yeah, see, it rolls back. And if there's any, yeah, it looks like
Like
it can roll back to, yeah. So if you've got, let's say, 5 different save points, you can say it can roll back to a certain one. Yeah. So that's just
Yeah.
kind of, so if I say if there is an error, then at least you haven't corrupted your database. Because I've done it before in the past where I've got a database and I've put something by accident, and then it's just gone. Do not like that. And everything's, it's adding 50,000 tables with really bad data and stuff.
That we were working towards on there is just using stored procedures to kind of negate that, so you don't do direct queries into the tables. You're actually doing stored procedures, which are like this, say, file. But you know, if you throw wrong parameters at a stored procedure, it goes wrong. Rather than throwing the wrong parameters into a, you know, an insert or a drop table.
Yeah. So I thought, I mean, I thought it might be interesting just to try and just create something quickly now. I don't know how much time, not a lot of time, but it's always, you know, you always, I always come to these user groups and somebody shows you something, I go, wow, that's really, I go back home and go, how did they do that?
Yeah.
So if we just try and create something from scratch, so let's just see if there's, in fact, I'm not going to do it completely from scratch, but, so, okay, create a database. So I'm going to take a path. Let's create a path constant. There you are. So I want to create a basic table. So what do I need to do for that? Feel free to jump in.
You probably have to use the execute actually.
Yeah, quick statement.
So if you look on your block diagram, you've got just to the left behind it. You've got there, it says create table.
Yep.
So you might want to use some of that.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we haven't got a lot of time. I'm going to pull some stuff from here. Can I do this across? Here we go. This is a bit sneaky. Oops. So let's kind of do it pseudo from scratch. Oops. Right, so I'm gonna use this same table just to save time. This same example database name in here. In fact, let's yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to pull in that example and I'm going to do a select immediately. I'm not going to create a table. I'm just going to select data between question mark and question mark. Okay, cool. So let's try and create this example of that I was talking about earlier with Mark there. So one of the areas where this pulling stuff out is kind of useful is just grabbing data to fill a list box. So let's grab a list box from here. So I'm going to give myself an event structure, if I can spell. And let's put a simple slider example. So what I'm trying to create here is just create what kind of looks like a list box, but I'm going to grab data from the database as we scroll down the page. So it's quite a bit. So I say that data table has got 100,000. It has got 100,000 points in it, but I don't want to put 100,000 points. Say it was 1 million. I don't want to put 1 million onto the page because it's going to, you know, use up UI memory and all that kind of stuff. So what we could do is have a slider here, and this is going to be my pretend scroll bar. So I have 10,000, 100,000. So when I scroll my slider, I want to do something. Yeah, there you go. Right, so when that changes, I've got a number. So I need to prepare a statement. Where was that? SQLite prepare. What is that? What I was? Okay. Okay. Already got it wrong. That's magic. Right. So this one had the question marks in. This wasn't. You know, I can't process it as a statement because I've got these question marks. That's for the binding. So instead of using the question marks, I should have been using this this prepare. And what this prepare allows me to do is to bring out the SQL statement and do some special features to it. Some special stuff. So let's bring that into here. The examples I've seen shift register that connection. So I guess there must be some data in there. It's not a pure reference, there's data in there. So let's say again. I've got a property node here. I'm going to bind so okay, so the slide is going to be, so let's do a so I want to, what my query, let's do, okay, what's my query going to be? I'm going to say I've got a big table, I want to display from here 0 to 20, for example. So if we say 0 and we say, in fact, let's put it on the front of the screen. Length. Might as well make it an integer. So I've got, do you remember I put 2 question marks in here? So we've got a ability to bind 2 values. So I'm going to say, but this statement here is select everything from the data table where the row ID is between X and Y. So we're going to make our X and Y here. And then once we've done that, might as well at the same time get the, process the query. So to save me messing around and remember everything, I'm just going to grab this bit from the other VI. Oh, look, if only I had the 2015. But you can do that. Yeah. Let's see if I got that bit right. Say again? I know. Right, so this is a little bit more complication here, but I'll just try and explain what is going on here. So I'm separating the response. So this is first step. It's going to execute the query, but it's a multi-stage query because you're going to get a whole bunch of lines back from your database. So what I'm doing here is from the SQL statement, I'm grabbing the column string, so that's a row at a time, and then I'm going to the next result back in the query result. There's a result with a line and another line. So all this while loop is doing is just grabbing them separately, and so I can bundle them back up. You can probably get the whole thing back as a 2D array, but this is a way to just extract them from the multi-stage query. So if we just wire this back up, So this will be from row 1. So I guess the query at the beginning could be, you know, search bar, you know, sort by thing and then grab this data, or it can be search for these values between it, whatever the query you like. So we're getting those two, arraying them together, and then out the while loop, we're going to make it into a 2D array. And there's your data. So this is just resetting the query. It's going to come back. And then we should close the database and all that kind of stuff that I'm going to be naughty and not even do. I'm either going to just stop it. Right. It's a bit naughty, but there we go. So everybody kind of happy with that? So we're going to use a database that's already been made. We're going to open it between ID and that, and then every time we get a value change in the slider, we're going to run the query and get the data out of the table. So it's not going to work. We've got broken down. Oh, okay. So this is just, we can grab the column headers from, okay, column, no. I'm sure there's a column header here somewhere.
Names.
Where?
Name or names.
There you go, magic. Why have I got 2 tables? So let's try and fool everybody by getting rid of that. So no, this is really our scroll bar. I was just going to get rid of the scale here.
Top one.
Where?
Top, right at the top.
No, it's scale. There we go. Map it in a style. There we go. Sorry. Right, hands up. You think this is going to work? Oh, Mark. Thanks. Right, let's give it length. 20. Okay. So, actually, yeah, let me.
Maybe if you change the length to like 5, you should only see 5.
Good thinking about that. Okay. And you can see it's really responsive as well, obviously, isn't it? So I've kind of seen this used for a number of different scenarios where I think James himself did a demo where he'd got like 10,000 points on a 3D model, and he was showing all these points, but you could only see 10% of them at the time. So he was just pulling them out of the database.
And so
That's nice to describe for applications.
As you require it.
with that as well, is it? It's the action that's happening is happening in the database and not in LabVIEW, so it's not restricting LabVIEw, is it? Or is it?
If you're doing a lot of manipulation, so yeah, to do this traditionally, just in LabVIEW, if you had the array in memory, there'd be quite a lot of array manipulation. I mean, not really with this query, would there? But if there was then a search and a sort and only these values, you know, because that statement just needs to be.
It would be nice as well if you're going through the partial analysis and just say, you know, I'm going to go through this whole data set in the array, so I just want to go to, rather than taking that through and decimating the array to get a subset.
Yeah, exactly.
So it seems to be a waste to call up everything and decimate again.
Yeah. Big memory footprint, which then gets So I mean, I'm a big proponent of kind of using the right tools for the right jobs. So I mean, SQL is pretty good at grabbing data from the database and those queries. And I think, as you can see, this wrapper kind of gives you that. It just gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling with a database, you know, because it's just a nicer way to interact with it.
What's the difference?
Sorry,
it's not like killing the roundings or anything like that. It's performance impact pretty minimal.
Yeah, pretty minimal. Yeah, I mean, have a quick look, right? But also, my computer is running really slow, and it's on a virtual machine, so it's not really a fair test, but
Make sure your virtual machine a bit smaller.
On the content service is basically a flat file, so you can use it in samples into the MS stuff, or you guys are including the
say again, right?
I mean, I'm really just seeing this myself. I normally use certain computer, microphone.
No, I was just saying, because this is effectively a flat file, it's really so that you can to the MS.
I mean, I know people that do kind of use this for their data logging. You know, within. It's kind of nice when you use a database and store your data within your application and just not worry about anything. You know, the customer is completely doesn't know that you're even using the okay, they can see SQLite DLL, but don't even know.
There's a CFR store, there's a CFR.
Yeah. I mean, I would certainly, because I was saying we're kind of just looking at it now anyway, I would certainly consider using an application that needs to produce a report, which is a subset of the data. Certainly consider using it as an on-file data storage.
It's nice because you use it for SQL, so
yeah.
you have to load up the whole file, then process it.
Or what we quite often do for customers with normal databases is we quite often give them like a debug page where they can kind of write their own query as well. We've done that for a few systems, and this is just the same. I guess this is saying that you can do that. You can do everything you can do in SQL. There are limitations, the good and bad points, but anyway, a nice interface.
So, when you were moving the slide there, it was looking at CPUs going up to about 75%, but as well, you're running that for that while as fast as you can.
Well, it's event driven, isn't it? But yeah, I'm ramming it. Yeah, doing a lot of events. That could be throttled, certainly. And it's free. Magic.
Yeah, careful what you set up on the website, so I was trying to find some links to it, and some of them just got the type
Okay.
I think that if you type
bought a house.
if you type in SQLite LabVIEW, the first one comes up is the
James Powell, is it?
and it's just
Something to do with the domain, obviously.
Yes, you just click download and it takes you to the.
Worst direction you ever get.
Okay,
yeah. Is that a package manager?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would as well because it.
No, I'm getting it wrong.
Yeah.
Cool.
And reading in, and like if you wanted to chuck your information in, is as equally straightforward for populating large data sets and.
I don't know. Have a go and tell me. It seems to be.
Yeah.
It's a bit from the small playing that I've had, it seems very
It seems a good way where the maybe file store goes to the hassle of maybe creating a file too much hassle.
So I think as well what if you've got a real-time system, you can have a.
Oh, that's a very good point, James. So it's made a very good point. So there is SQLite DLLs for the real-time operating system as well, and Linux. So you can use. I don't think this, because it uses like this. I don't think we can use it on RT Linux yet, but somebody is porting that at the moment. But you can certainly use it on file app and stuff like that. So this was just their other example. It's just you can kind of show you that it's pretty good at logging. So this is literally just changing these values and putting in timestamp, and pretty soon and then you can use it to do sorting if you like. So if this wildcard is numeric values. Okay, I haven't done any numeric values, but then they appear here. So rather than you doing all that in LabVIEW, just use SQL, but it's powerful. And what you can see in this example is that they've they've opened up 2 connections to the same. I'm saying so. This is the same bits of data, so there's no problem in opening up these 2 connections, and I'm sure you could do that.
So data voting is completely separate to
Yeah.
It looks like it,
Yeah. And I kind of like.
But it's not holding 2 instances of the same
No.
database. Well, it's if you had that transaction in, it probably would do, but because you've not got that locking of the database at the start,
Right.
you're
Yeah.
able to read and write at the same time. So,
But I really quite like the way he's kind of bound this stuff, because it just makes it very usable and readable, the code as well.
so I'm guessing then, obviously, where you've got that insert into data values, question mark. Question mark is a column in
Yes.
the row, basically.
Well, the question marks are the bind values,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So it sounds
but
like
the columns are here. That data with 3 columns,
Yeah.
and then
Just some function parameters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the rest of the one is out.
Yeah.
All that code local.
Yeah.
It's a very neat way of doing logs and everything.
Yeah.
Don't want to text or
So yeah, that's it for me. So I think the other things, I mean, we've gone over time already, but the other things on the agenda were just any other questions and also topics for next time.
I got a quick question. 2015, is it compatible with Windows 10? Do you know? Have you
I'm
tried?
going to say yes.
Is FPGA compiling?
Yeah,
Compatible? Obviously with the
by
cloud.
Xilinx, so I don't know whether Xilinx
Okay, yeah.
Is there any
We tend to use the compile cloud.
I've compiled on. I found the same compilation onto my Rio in 2013, 14, 15, using the same compilation tool, same machine. Is for me faster. As I've gone up versions,
Okay,
just
yeah.
in the background.
Yeah.
But always remember it doesn't compile the same every time it compiles. So
Yeah, 'cause, well, I mean, I was saying to these guys, obviously, like Windows 10 is a free upgrade if you have a registered license to Windows 7 or 8. So I said I'll put it on my machine. I'll just try at least 14 on a evaluation just to test it. But I haven't got that far for the evaluation yet. So, but it's just while you guys are here, if you
some of it might be like some Windows 8 things like the FPGA things like that. It's a fairly new thing for Windows 10. So
I'm guessing probably. Well, I'd like to say by SP1 it would probably.
Well,
Yeah,
we're on Microsoft's road.
Yeah.
I guess the FPGA thing's kind of out your hands, isn't it? That's as I think it's compatibility mainly. So.
Right, so with the cloud base anyway, it's,
Yeah.
it's I
That's
mean,
awesome, by the way.
we've used it in the past.
I think I've fed that back to you guys before,
Yeah,
but
we've used
the
it when it's
cloud compile service is just awesome, really good.
what's
Although-
the turnaround time?
What was- We had a problem this week, didn't we? And we
Yeah.
were all waiting in the queue.
Yeah, the only time that it's ever been really critical with Chris in China, when we need to get it done before 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Monday morning this week, we had an hour wait time before they started.
They said we were waiting in the queue. And there was some like front paying pennies or something.
So we had to
We
find,
just said waiting in queue. I was like, oh,
we had
why?
to search around the entire company, and one
Yeah.
person had all of the tools in the right versions that we needed on the laptop, and we did it on the laptop.
So he's
So
just,
usually-
he's just getting the compilers now, and that's what all he's used for.
Yeah.
now.
You
and the-
tend to just push most of all your compilers back up to like the cloud to do them.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
put them off there.
Now,
Yeah, 'cause you
well,
can-
I mean, now, well, I mean, most of us do run off Windows 8.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think, because there was these problems with Windows 8 and compiling, it's just easier, and it
Things
means
you can-
it's not restricting you as well. You can carry on doing other stuff. So,
Yeah.
And you can shove multiple ones up. And
Yeah.
It is quick as well.
Like
comparative with-
FPGA game, the biggest time is actually compiling.
Yeah. In our lab, we've got a dedicated Linux FPGA compile server, and it's very fast, but it's nothing compared to what what we've done on the cloud
Mm.
before. It's a good tool.
I'd say it almost turns it in. Well, it makes it a lot more useful. Put it that way.
Yeah.